Say words to me.
Hello everyone and welcome to what I assume to be Fisk Tower. I don't know if that's what it's called, because upon looking up Fisk Tower, Amazing Spider-Man 2 the game popped up, and I approve of that, but we're just gonna call this place Fisk Tower anyway. Fisk Tower. Much like the warehouse stage, this is just a huge crawl upward, but unlike the warehouse stage, I think it looks a lot more interesting, and the NPC quests are a lot more interesting as well. We're getting juggled. I suppose it's not juggling, it's the opposite of juggling. We're getting slammed into the ground really hard. A lot. So this is the penultimate level. After this, we save New York. I want to warn you ahead of time, this game does not have an ending. That's not an exaggeration, like, it's not a hyperbole criticism. There's really not an ending, so don't expect one, okay? I mean, the gameplay is still fun, but if you're expecting this narrative to have a resolution, no, it doesn't. I'm sorry.
Can't run.
Maybe it wasn't so much the cat he wanted the cat's brain. That would make a lot more sense. I hope no one lives here, because this place looks the worst we've seen in New York so far.
Parker.
Here we actually get to see some flying enemies, and we can hit them while they're on the ground, unlike everyone else, so they're actually pretty easy.
Venom! Venom! So many Venoms! I don't know where to start!
This game really looks and seems like something that would be the butt of a lot of negative reception, both from consumers and critics. But it seemed to hit that weird middle ground where nobody adamantly hates it, but nobody really seems to respect it or realize it exists either. There will always be the angry people who expected it to be like the actual Web of Shadows. I can't say they're wrong for being angry, but that's not really the developer's fault, is it? The response from professional magazines, though, has been surprisingly positive for this game. I wonder if everyone was just having a really good day when they reviewed it. It wasn't always the case that different people reviewed the different games, either. Because the same person at IGN who reviewed the actual Web of Shadows also reviewed Amazing Allies. And he hated Web of Shadows. I also don't recall him mentioning anywhere in his review that the game did not have an ending. Maybe he wanted to leave that out so people would like it more, but that's a little important when you look up a review to decide if you want to buy something. Not that I believe anyone bought Amazing Allies because of that IGN review, or that anyone bought Amazing Allies because of any review. Not that it's bad, but I think you only have so much money and people probably went for the open world 3D game instead.
We can do this the easy way or the... Ah, who am I kidding? Everything's always the hard way.
I apologize if you expected me to be talking about the gameplay more, or if you expected the gameplay to be more outstanding. Because this game has very minimalistic game design. Really, there's not a whole lot to it. What's there isn't bad, but you've seen pretty much everything there is to see about the actual game design after the first level. There are still some nuances, like how you can't hit enemies on the ground unless you use specific attacks. And there's a small bit of brain work involved in figuring out how to take out enemies the fastest. But even then, they clearly didn't expect you to think too much, because if you do think too much, you figure out that you're invincible while you dash as Black Spidey. Obviously, the real star of the game is the writing, and it's clear that they wanted to make the writing to make up for the rather simplistic gameplay. And to make up for the fact that they had no voice acting, they decided to make the writing, you know, interactive, which I approve of. I think Amazing Allies is a good example of doing your best with what you have. Obviously, this game was made on an incredibly tiny budget. They didn't have that much money for voice acting or for presentation purposes. They also didn't have enough money for an ending cinematic. Or even a text ending, apparently. Just nothing. I like that the writing is mostly comedy-focused, but it has an overarching story that you could actually care about. Some downsides to this are, of course, the fact that Jackal explains everything with no reason. The best dialogue, as has probably been stated countless times, often comes from random goons that you fight. Especially the ones that go in unexpected directions. It's not like the portrayal of the big villains is lackluster, except for maybe the Kingpin. But the Kingpin's portrayal here is one-on-one with that of the actual Web of Shadows. And even though the Rhino is almost always portrayed in the same way, I laughed a lot more at his dialogue here than anywhere else. There's also a common theme in this game with tricking and using people. Almost everyone in this game is being used by someone else, and sometimes the people being used are actually using the people using them. That woman's skin color changed while she was talking to us, but that's probably just a condition or something. We shouldn't bother about that. That would be very rude. There is a bit of challenge here in trying to get the woman up to her apartment while these things try to knock her off of you. And you can often trap yourself on the wrong platform and have to wait for another one to come up and get you. It's actually pretty difficult unless you've memorized where to go. It's a small but simple platforming challenge, and I wish the game had more of the where did that symbiote go? If this game had more navigational puzzles like this one, or simple logic puzzles and basic platforming, anything like that, it would make it a lot easier to recommend as an actual game and not just a curiosity. Because really, I can only recommend it if you're as strange as me or you really, really like Spider-Man. Or if you're both. Like me, which is great. This is great for me. And any clones of me.
Don't call me, I'll call you. Oh, too late. So what do you want? Over here! Kill him! Move, 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 move!
I like the hilarious design of the Sonic generator. It looks like something that absolutely should not function. Anyway, we just need to hold off a few enemies while the Sonic generator is doing whatever, and then we can get back to stopping all this. Hopefully. I'm sure that's exactly how it'll go. There will be no further complications at all.
You know, I'm not the brightest bulb on the drive-thru menu, but I bet if you put all these parts together, you're gonna wind up with a really big, angry Venom. I told you, I don't want any.
must kill Spider-Man.
I remember when I used to joke about things not getting any worse. Man, those were the days.
Good to see that you're on the winning team.
Black Cat is as much a joke as the Jackal, you just hit her a lot. She has almost no invincibility frames and is easy to juggle.
Must kill Spider-Man.
Cat, this is cute and all, but you're a... Oh, hey, look, I got call waiting. It's my girlfriend. Can I call you back?